Okay, so this is welcome to the webinar where we are learning about CoughDrop. And first of all, what I was saying was that CoughDrop has a Windows, Mac platform, even Chromebook, and it also has an iPad app. This is the pricing options that I found, which is $6 a month or a $200 lifetime purchase. I know some districts have a hard policy where they don't do subscriptions, but the lifetime purchase then might be your option. And then the therapist parent supporter is a different rate, but if you're buying in bulk for a district, it's a little bit different. So I'm not sure how the bulk lifetime purchase would go. I do know that there's within app purchases as well, like Boardmaker, and I think there's a few other things within there, search engines for different languages and things. So this is what I was able to find on CoughDrop pricing. When you go into CoughDrop, you can sign into your account. I'm going to show you the computer side, and then we'll hop on the app. And you can go into exit your speech mode and go to find a board. And then you're going to see all the different boards. And this can be a little bit overwhelming because anybody and everybody can create boards, and you can put them under categories. And so it's kind of neat because you can create a board that other people can use. Like if you create a board for your school and maybe the vocabulary around your principal and your office staff and stuff like that, then that same board can go right onto everyone's iPad. But you can search for a board by language. This is a little bit deceiving as you look at all this. You say, oh my goodness, there's something in every language. And for sure, if I click on French and I say go, I'm going to see that there are definitely boards in French. Somebody asked me the other day about Urdu, and it's there, and I say go, and there's actually none found. So the languages listed here are not the languages that are available for CoughDrop necessarily, but because anybody can create a new board, they want to have that option. You could create a board in Urdu if you worked with a parent, and I'm not sure if I'm even saying that language right, and then you would file it under this language so someone else could find it if they need be. So they've listed every language that they have thought of, but it doesn't necessarily mean that at any given time there are boards with that language on it. Does that make sense? So I can do help me choose a home board, and it can help me. I can say I have a brand new user, a some experience, or an experienced user, and it can walk me through some things. I can also go in to choose my own based on robust, cause and effect, simple starters, functional communication, phrase-based, and different keyboards. I'm drawn to the robust to compare apples to apples, since most of you know robust systems through TouchChat and through LAMP and other things. But under functional communication, I think it's simple starters. Practical AAC has made some, and those are usually some pretty nice ones, but you can pull up quickly boards. Let's take a look at what 24 looks like. So I can do
I want.
So these are the symbols that they're using. It's color-coded Fitzgerald, yellow for pronouns, green for verbs. That little corner that's has a little tab in it means that it's going to be a linking button. Eat is going to go to those words related to that.
Pizza. I want pizza.
and I have the option to share, and I can give kids options to share straight from their message bar out. And then there's the exit. There's the X, which cleared the bar. There's your home button that gets you back to the beginning. Oh, I thought it did. Why did that not get to the beginning? Home. I'm going to go to exit. I'm going to go to find my board. And I'm going to show you, these are my boards. These are ones that I've opened and I've edited over the last 6 months to take a peek at. I personally am drawn to the 60. It gives a lot of options for kids and not having to do as much navigation. So let's take a look at, I'm going to go back. So you exit your speech mode. You can go to your find board. I'm going to just show you one in Spanish. So I'll go to the 60 in Spanish, and you'll see by this person, by this person. So you see that these people have created these and they've authored them. And when you decide to make your own, you have the option to author it and get credit for it. And I'll get to that in a minute. But we'll just go into this one. This one matches most closely the 60 button that's in English. So then.
So Brenda, does that mean it didn't come with
Yeah.
the 60 position Spanish one? There are only ones that have been created by other people?
That's right.
Okay.
So they have created English and they've set up the platform for others to create languages. So some of them are going in and like copying the English and then just changing all the language. And I don't know if CoughDrop pays SLPs to do that or how that all comes about, but there's a lot in Spanish for sure. So comer, and then
Queso. Yo querer queso.
so it automatically changed it to a voice that speaks in Spanish. So I didn't have to do a whole lot. When you open up a Spanish speaking one, it is set to speak in Spanish, as opposed to some of the other devices that are bilingual, like the Accent or the Nova Chat, where you have to do a little bit of legwork on setting all that up. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to minimize this. And I'm going to share now my iPad version of CoughDrop so I can kind of show you how this looks. Sorry, I have to open Reflector. I'm not sure why that's not. Oh, here it is. Just a second here. So my iPad version, I can go into, the minute I make a change on it, it automatically says that it's by Brenda, but I do not, I make changes and I keep that private so people aren't able to see when I've added a child's face or a teacher's name and things like that. I keep my changes private so my boards stay under my boards. So I'm going to go into my app here and show you a few things. So this is what the app looks like. It looks very much like this on screen that I showed you. right now I have that box in the middle that's black, and I'm just going to show you a few editing features. So I'm going to edit the speak mode. I'm going to edit the board. I'm going to touch the one that is black, and I'm going to say unhide this button. And that is how you can do some basic hide and show. But I want to show you another feature, and I can save. I want to show you another feature. As you can look at the top and it says speak mode, and the next one says level 10. And so on level, what you can do is you can choose a 60, and you can do this in Proloquo as well. But you can decide that you want to go down. You're going to do this grid, but you're going to start with 155 visible buttons. So, and then you're going to, or you can say, I'm going to do this grid, but I'm going to start at level 1 with 4 visible buttons. Looks like 5 to me, but maybe more, isn't it? And then you're going to slowly work levels to work up your levels. And it kind of methodically helps you teach a kid without having to individually go in and do hide show on a whole bunch of pages. So I wanted you to know how to do hide show to minimize your field. And then this is how you systematically would do hide show. So you would start and move up the levels. And it's adding, you know, a couple hundred words at every level. And at your level 10, you have 2,029 words.
Counting all the different levels, you mean all the different boards that are connected?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
not all, yeah. But I will tell you that both TouchChat and NovaChat and LAMP, they say that their apps have access to about 5,000 words. So there's not as many linking boards in this application as there are in some of the other robust systems that we have. But it doesn't make it, I mean, let's face it, if our kids have 2,000 word vocabulary, they're rock stars already. So it's not that it's not sufficient. So I just want to show you how we make a few changes on this board. And then I want to hop onto the computer side and show you how it looks on that side as well. So most people want to know a couple of things. So I'm going to go to eat. No, I'm not. I'm going to go to, sorry, let me go back in. I'm going to go, yeah, we can just do eat. I guess it's fine. I thought I want.
One.
Why don't we make a page that will go under like, that will have a person's favorite toys. So we will go to exit mode. We will hit like, oh, sorry, we're going to edit a board. We're going to add, no, we're not. Oh my goodness, I'm going to fumble. I didn't know I was going to do this. I just did this, you guys. I'm going to say create a new board. And this is where I can decide how many buttons I want it to be. If you're doing a key guard, you're going to want to do the 6x10 so it always matches. If you want to just, for our purposes today, we might just see what a smaller set would look like visually. And so this will be my likes. I'm just going to name my board. If you're going to have a whole bunch of these for lots of kids, you might name it so that you know whose board you're making this for. Visibility is private. You keep it private even if you wanted to, quote, share it to Susie's iPad, because public goes out to everyone and private keeps within the people you have permission to work with. Under more options, you can add your description to remind you what you did. And this is where you can also quickly go ahead and add her favorite things. So I can say ball, comma, doll, comma, bubbles. I'm just separating them with commas. Anybody have ideas here? What do kids like to play with?
Play-Doh.
I know I struggle with spelling Play-Doh. I'm gonna go with that one. And maybe on my page, I also want to put like and don't like, and maybe I want to put my turn and your turn, and I'm going to create my board. Okay, so it has automatically picked buttons for me. And like, I don't like the one that has Play-Doh, so I can touch that one and I can change this button's picture and I can pick a different one. I can also choose like saying, well, I'm just going to call the swing the playground. I can just put my cursor in there and make the change. I can hit save at the top. And then I'm going to go to demo boards. I'm going to go to my like button. I'm going to edit my board. I'm going to select my like button, and I'm going to tell it, the fourth one down says link to another board. And now I'm going to find my board. Now I can find it under my boards, or I can find it under a public board. So if I've searched and found a board with Brown Bear already created, I can link it straight here. I can also have, on my spare time, liked a whole bunch of boards, and it'll remind me of the ones I liked. Or I can find it from my boards. My likes is Susie, and it gives you a preview, and you say, is this the one? And you choose the board, and you say close, and then you save it, and we'll be done. Now, when I'm in my app, like has a green shade, so I know like's going somewhere. And when I get there, there's my board. And home gets me back.
So Brenda,
Uh-huh.
I noticed it's not in the same kind of order as the home page. Does that, if you wanted to rearrange it so it was similar, could you do that? Or
Yes, let's try it. So like would be on the left. I might have my turn and your turn. And don't like, something like that. So you can move them around. And then save. And then speak mode gets you right back.
Otherwise, were they in the order that you put them in, or were they in?
Yes, they were
Okay,
in the order that I put them in. Yeah.
okay, so you could think it through ahead of time, I guess, and have it go
Yeah,
in that way.
that's
Yeah,
so true. And I don't think that way, but yeah, if you do,
Yeah.
then bonus for you. I'm going to move this out of the way and we're going to go back on here now. I can't get it too far and never get it back. So let me just see how far I can move that out. I'm going to go back on my board. And I'm going to edit speak mode. I'm going to go, so what I have found is I go out of speak mode and back into speak mode, and that's when it registers me. So now, like on board on my computer, also has the pages I just made. So let's make a change to the board on the computer and see it change on our iPad. So we're going to go in and exit the speak mode, pick a button, edit the board. So I can, let's take a peek at how we would add an icon from a Google image. So we're going to go into Google image. And so let's say that we want to do, what's something that's really hard to depict with these icons? That's a toy. Oh, I had something written down and I didn't bring that in here. So let's just say let's say an ABC puzzle. Like there's a kind of a particular one that the kiddo likes. So I find the image that I like. And I save this image over here. And in this CoughDrop folder, I'm going to name this ABC puzzle. Okay. Now, back on my board, I want to change this button's picture. And I'm going to do that by searching. And it automatically pulled up the last folder I was in. But if I came up to my desktop, I would look for my photos and grab my picture and say choose. And I'm going to say use this. And then I'm going to close it and label it puzzle. And save it. Now I'm going to pull my iPad over. I don't see it instantly, but when I go out of the mode and then back into it, it comes up. So that's kind of nice because if you just happen to be editing at school and the kid's using the iPad at home, they're not going to, weird pictures aren't going to be showing up, or depending on how much editing you're doing, if you're changing layout and things, it's not going to mess with them until you go out of speak mode and back into it. So that's kind of how the changes show up for you. That is kind of basic how the computer's iPad interface works. How you link buttons, how you add icons, change icons. And again, you can make that purchase for PCS symbols as well. So let me show you a couple other things here as we go into edit mode and edit board. So I don't know why I'm getting this spinning circle of death here. Okay, so I'm going to go into my preferences now and walk you through a few things. styling. You can have that. Right now I have a black background. And if I go to white, and save my preferences, it looks like this. I like black background. I think it provides contrast, and I think it helps a lot of our kids see where buttons start and end. The default is white. So I like to come in and go into my style and turn on black. I also have show grid lines, so you'll see a little bit more of the grid. Under selection settings, this is where you can play with a few things. Don't highlight on selection, but you can highlight on selection if you think your kids need that. Logging and syncing, this is where you can tell it how and when, and it's going to sync up with your computer. And the default is working sufficient for me. This is where it will tell you like this, these are the core words on this set. Modify my core word list. You can modify the list and those will show up. But one of the things I wanted to show you was the options for alternative access. As you well know, most of my kids have, most of the kids that I see personally on my caseload are alternative access. In fact, I currently have one user that uses a hand to point to a picture in my whole caseload. So I just want to show you how scanning would work. And I'm going to set up the scanning piece. Hold on just 1 second while I get the scanning. Let me just, okay, so we're gonna take a look at the scan settings. I can enable the switch and I see row-based, column-based, button-based, which is singular, and region-based. What I don't see is row column. So from what I can tell, and tell me if any of you use this differently, this is a one-step, one scan only app. So you can't do scan on one side and select on the other side. You will be working with timing, and that is very, very tricky. And that alone may be a reason why CoughDrop wouldn't work for 1 or 2 of your kids, because if they can't do the timing, then the accuracy isn't there.
So are you saying, Brenda, are you saying it's a single switch that
Yep.
you'd be using then? Okay.
It's just single switch. It's very interesting though, because as I scroll down, I'm able to tell something select and next and previous and cancel. I can program up to 4 switches, and I have an interface that does 4 switches. But when I have select and next, and when I have them all programmed in, they all do the same thing. They all just select when it's highlighted.
Yeah, that's weird.
So I may not know enough about it, but from what I can tell, and even the videos that I've seen by CoughDrop on scanning, it's all, there is no so wait a minute, look at this. Maybe I'm learning something. Enter 0 to prevent auto scanning. So look at me trying to use my mouse. Let's see if I do if I enter 0 and take out auto scan, if scan and select work. Don't you guys love that I'm learning during my webinar? But I tried it and it didn't work, but let's try it again. So what I'm gonna do is set this up. And make sure my Bluetooth's connected and my applicator is connected. So what I did to do these is I actually put my cursor there and I hit the space bar and it created a code 32. You don't have to know that that's what the code is. And then I actually put my cursor on the next key and I hit return, and it automatically populated that number 13 as the enter option. So let's save the preferences, go into the board, and try it. So I'm using one switch. I don't know if you guys can see me or not in this view.
No.
You can't, okay. So I'm using one switch to move the row, the other switch to select the row. It is working. So you have to just put the scan timing to 0 in order for you to do two-step scanning.
And which did you pick, row then? You
I
picked
did,
row.
I picked row, yeah. So I'm gonna do row, select, and then over, other, and then select, and then row, and then select, and then over, select.
Play-Doh.
Row, 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 row.
One Play-Doh.
I mean, so that is really
One
good
Play-Doh.
because I couldn't figure that out earlier. So I'm gonna go in, by the way, when you're in edit mode, your finger still works. So you're not having to scan over to get to this menu here. And I'm gonna go into my preferences again. I'm gonna go into my scanning settings. And if I wanted to do scanning automatically, that would be a one switch scan. It's going to automatically scan, and I have to hit the switch when I want to stop. And so you'd be playing with speed on this one, which I think is very challenging, which is like really why I was glad I found how to do that other one. Okay.
I'm sure you can change the speed, but what you're saying is they'd have to learn to time when to
You
hit.
absolutely can change the speed, yes. And that is right under here on the milliseconds. And I think the default is 1,000. Yeah, just like you would on any other application, you would have to, anytime you're doing one scan, it's because you only have one voluntary movement. It does mean that they have to hear the one they want, make the selection, and figure all of that out. So I'm going to disable the switch to show you that if you, because this application can go on a Windows computer, you could buy an external eye gaze that connects to that. So a My Gaze bar type of device, and that would make it Dwell or eye gaze tracking compatible. I don't have that because I don't have that on any of my computer, but I want to, if I enable it right now, I want to show you that it has eye gaze, cursor-based dwelling, and joystick-based dwelling. It also allows you to set your dwell time like you would on any other eye gaze type of device. And the dwell target style. So whether it's like that, the pie that comes on Tobii Dynavox, or the shrinking dot that comes on Accent. So it gives you a couple of options there. which is really unique and really awesome that any app would could be on a different platform eye gaze compatible. Here's where you can also select a voice. And this is where there may be some within app purchases for high quality voices. And they have some of the same voices as most of the voices most of the apps with acapella voices have, which is Ella and Josh, and then the bilingual Emilio and Valeria voices. So that's pretty common stuff right there. I guess I'm going to save preferences so I don't know where I was at. Now, you can add, some of the teachers are really liking this, where you can look at reports, and I'm not sure, you can look at reports, you can look at goals, you can set goals. So when you set all this up, every user that has permission can look at the goals and you can see other people's goals. You can record messages to others. You're able to look at several things, but mostly you can, once the goals are set, you can report your data, and it creates reports and summaries. And that is really nice when it comes to IEP meetings and things like that. So I don't have enough data in here, and I don't have other people that have joined mine, so I'm not able to show you that completely. And you can do a quick assessment as well. I think the assessment has to be based on the goals. Oh, maybe not. Let me unplug my Bluetooth so I can get my keyboard, and we'll test that quick assessment piece. So I think this is where you are asking the child to find things, and you're recording the correct and incorrect responses. And so your data is taken here. Under My Devices, you'll see that where the different devices that are in mine and which ones have been activated. Under My Account, Find a Board, you'll see the online results, and then all my boards fall on the far right. So everything you want to do in CoughDrop can be done straight from the app if that's how you're used to doing things. And for that, I like, because there have been other apps that have worked on the computer and on an app on an iPad, and not everything that you wanted to do could be done on the iPad version. The iPad version was merely a mirror of what was done on the computer, and that prevented on-the-fly editing. And CoughDrop's done a really nice job allowing full editing features on the iPad app and making it compatible, even if you're on a Windows-based computer on the other side of things. I'm on a Mac today, but it works that same way. So that is CoughDrop on the iPad and CoughDrop on the computer. I'm going to stop the recording and answer a few questions.